It's race number 12 of the 23 race schedule. It's practice, the first of two this afternoon. We'll qualify and go racing tomorrow. Keeping our fingers crossed on that weather forecast. So far, so good here today. Temperatures very comfortable. Really humid, slight breeze. Hoping that rain stays away. Precipitation in the forecast, but so far, so good. It's great to see that red, white, and blue flying against the blue sky here at Pocono. We mentioned that this is race 12 of 23, but counting the race tomorrow, only 5 to go until the chase. Right now, we've had 5 different winners. 8 drivers will make the chase. This is a very important weekend for those near the cut line or those on the backside. Good afternoon and welcome. Glad to have you with us today, along with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. Mike, it couldn't be much different from what we saw last week at Eldora to what we have here at Pocono. It's a big challenge.
Could you imagine telling a race car driver what his schedule was going to be like? We're talking the dirt at Eldora, which was amazing. The big, long 2.5 miler here at Pocono. Then we're going to go to Bristol. Then we're going to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We've got it all lined up, but this place presents a particular challenge to these guys. These long straightaways, 13 racers making their first start in a truck here. They won't believe what it's like going down this front straightaway and how far they can drive into turn 1. We know how tight turn 1 is, Phil, but these trucks have a lot of aerodynamic drag. They've got to drive deep into the corner in order to get some good speed when they ramp up off turn 1 and head toward the tunnel. I love this track. I love the challenges it presents, and there's many of them today.
Yeah, and well, the nice thing is, you know, they have a history here at this racetrack. Their crew chiefs do. Oh, wait a minute, maybe they don't. This is a new tire, both sides of the truck here. And we talk about that a lot, and it really doesn't sound like much, but these trucks are so scienced out. They know exactly where the springs need to be and the shocks are for that splitter to be right on the racetrack, but not touching the racetrack. But not with a new tire here. So these guys will be a little bit of guesswork here early on to try to make sure they get their heights right. So the crew chiefs really can't tell the drivers, this is what it's going to do here, this is what it did last year, because of the unknowns with the tires.
We'll certainly keep an eye on it up here and downstairs in the garage area. It's Herbie Sadler and Caitlin Vincey, and we'll start with Caitlin.
Well, Vince, Ben Rhodes is coming off a disappointing race at Eldora. He ended up finishing 23rd, dropping some spots in the standings as well. But I just spoke with his crew chief, Kevin Bellecourt, and he told me, you know, even though we didn't have the finish we wanted at Eldora, there were some positives we took away from that race. We were able to run up front, run with some of the best dirt guys. He said, I think that's just a testament of Ben's ability and his abilities to adapt to these different racetracks, including dirt, which he had never been on before. Now the focus goes to Pocono. He said for this first practice session, they're going to run 5 or 6 laps, try and get his travels right, then start making adjustments based on Ben's feedback. But he said one big important area for them, turn 3. He said it's the flattest one, it's the easiest place to lose speed. We're going to need a lot of mechanical grip in that turn. So that'll be a big focus for the 41 team. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, William Byron, the number 9 truck, is on his way to potentially a record-breaking season, already 4 wins now. I asked him when I got to the racetrack this morning, what did you take away from Eldora? He said, you know, I really enjoyed it, but I had low expectations, but got in a couple wrecks, salvaged to a 14th place finish, and moved on. He said, now, when it comes to Pocono, first truck series start, but he does have some auto racing experience at this racetrack. I said, where do you need to be good on this racetrack to have a shot to win? He was very quick to say, the tunnel turn. That's the corner that when I nailed the best every lap, I make the most speed. It gave me the most momentum heading into turn 3 and to the front stretch. So watch for them to focus on the tunnel turn and try to get back on track. He's looking for win number 5 in his rookie season.
Hard to believe that this young man's already won 4 times, guys. And of course, there's only 3 turns. You know, most tracks, in fact, all tracks we go to have at least 4. Not here, just 3, and 3 unique challenges.
I think the drivers look at it that most tracks have 2 ends. Yeah, we got turn 1 and 2, and turns 3 and 4.
There's really an extra turn here.
they've got 3 ends.
Yeah.
That means an extra challenge, like Phil said, in the long front straightaway. Talking about aerodynamics and speed, you got to have all that to go down the front straightaway, and then handling the duck across that tunnel turn nearly wide open. The challenges are immense, and you know, Phil, I love Caitlin's report talking about Ben Rhodes. I talked about how different Eldora was than Pocono. And so you're thinking, well, how does that relate? It shows you got a versatile racer behind the wheel. You got a guy that can catch on, he can figure out any type of circus.
Maybe so.
Many of them are. And when you come to this particular circuit, they've never seen anything like this either. So being able to adapt is really important.
See, right now, top of the board is William Byron, and he really has an advantage. He ran the ARCA race here back in June, so that was invaluable for him to be able to get some lap time here. Obviously, we've watched him all year long catch on pretty quick to about any racetrack he goes to, but I think the fact that he has a little bit of experience here in that ARCA car from June helped him.
No question about that, and we'll see if that pays off for him tomorrow as you look at the 0-0 of Cole Custer.
He ARCA raced here last year
and won,
and so he had a great experience in his ARCA ride. And Phil, you talked about invaluable and being able to know where these turns are. At least when you wake up this morning to head out to the track, you got a pretty good idea about the layout. It's certainly a lot different in one of these trucks, but knowing how to approach the corners is important.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned, especially going down in these corners. Back in the day, we would use all the brakes we would have getting down in turn 1 here at this racetrack. And it's amazing how far that the Cup cars can drive into the corner now compared to what we used to. Not to mention how far these trucks drive down in the corner. They're already in the middle of the corner by the time they back off.
You know, when you're in Eldora, it's a bit about finesse. We see them bouncing off the wall, but they're doing it gracefully. This place is all about bravery. How far can you take that truck down into the corner and not lift before the thing gets out of control? So this is a high speed, definitely different, much different than what the guys were facing in Eldora.
And similar to what Caitlin said about Ben Rhodes, it's a critical point in the season for Cole Custer as well. He's on the outside looking in as far as the chase is concerned. He moved up a couple of positions with that 6th place finish at Eldora, but he is still 25 points out of a chase spot.
He wants to win. He knows he can win, and that's exactly what this team's all about. And hopefully opening speed is decent here for Cole, 7th fastest so far. William Byron ran a 54.12 and just eclipsed by Christopher Bell. Christopher goes 54.05, about a half a tenth better.
Similar situation, although Christopher just came off the racetrack from ARCA practice. He's doing the same thing here this week that William Byron did back in June. Get some experience here at this racetrack in any type of vehicle, but he's just going to add to the track time.
3 drivers doing double duty in regards to trucks and ARCA this weekend. Christopher Bell, of course, mentioned already. John West Townley back from missing a couple of races from concussion-like symptoms. And Deshaun Poore also running ARCA and the trucks here today. The first of 2 practices for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series at Pocono.